Right. Good morning, everybody. If you're trying to watch us on Facebook, we apologize. It was there up until today, and Pam has been frantically trying to get it to reconnect. But you know how technology works. It's great until you absolutely need it, or you're on the spot, and then it disappears. But good morning. I'm Marci Mallory, president of the Pennsylvania Parks and Forest Foundation, and
I'm Pam Metzger, membership coordinator and sometime tech guru for the Pennsylvania Parks and Forest Foundation.
I'm sitting here with my cup of tea in my home office, and we're super excited. Today is ExtraGive. It's the single largest day of giving in the world. I think last year they raised upwards of $14 million. Am I remembering that correctly? Which really is a great testament to the generosity of people, to the various nonprofits that are participating in ExtraGive. And I was on this morning making my own donation, and there were 452 nonprofits that are participating this year. So lots of different causes represented. We are but one of 452 causes, but we appreciate all your support of the work that we do to stewarding our state parks and state forest. So this morning is kind of a free form. We're going to chat about a couple of things. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment box and we will get to them. Hopefully you're being redirected to our YouTube channel. Either way, this will tape and you'll have an opportunity to see it. But one of the things that I wanted to start out with is not only to thank all of you for your support financially, but to thank all of you for your support from an advocacy perspective. We had a very, very busy year advocating for additional funding for infrastructure and maintenance needs in our state parks. If you remember, we have a $1.4 billion maintenance list in our parks and forests, and it continues to grow because in price, because prices continue to increase. And it's kind of like at home, if you don't fix the roof, then you're also maybe repairing the ceiling in the room where the roof needed to be fixed. But through your efforts and your willingness to speak out on behalf of why these places are important to you, we were able to, with others, have $75 million of the American Rescue Plan released for state park and state forest maintenance and infrastructure. 25 million went to community recreation. And then there was additional money that helped to create 3 new state parks. And you're going to learn about those today at 10 o'clock when Secretary Dunn joins us. But, you know, Pam manages our Take Action Center. It was just amazing, the number of people that wrote their legislators. If you're not signed up to get action alerts from us, please feel free to go to our website and do that, because your legislator listens to you more than they listen to us, because you're a constituent. And we are going to continue to push for additional investments in our parks and forests, because we know how important these places are to you, and to everybody, for physical, mental, and emotional health. Here, Pam is showing the Take Action Center now. It's really cool. You know, it allows you to follow the bills that we're following. A bill that we had been working with others to have passed was to limit volunteer liability. It made it to the Senate, and then it was never brought for a full vote within the Senate. So we have to start all over. But, you know, if you're a volunteer, this is a really important bill. And it's not just park and forest volunteers, but any volunteers that are doing good things in our natural areas and our open spaces.
So one of the things I like about our Take Action Center is I'm hoping you're seeing the screen, is here you can compose your own message. And at any time that something comes up that you would just like to send to your legislators and say how important the parks and forests are to you, you can log in and compose a message and send it off. It's a really simple process. And you get to that from Our Work Stewardship Be a Voice dropdown, or I'm hoping that this will follow me if I click back to our homepage. And down in our little boxes of widgets, there's something called the Take Action Center. So that'll take you directly back to that page to take action, oddly enough.
Pam, while you're on there, can you click on the
Of course, I
infographic
just
that's
looked
there. You just
I
left.
I just left, so let me go
I
back.
can see that. I can see that you just left. But that's a in addition to that, I want to point out two things. One is that, a lot of legislators are going to be new this year. So you don't even need to know who your legislator is. Once you put in your address, it'll tell you who they are. So this is also a great way to find out if you have a newly elected person who they are. But this infographic, I wanted to point out, we actually paid to have a poll done last year to look at people's attitudes towards investing in parks and forests. And you can see here, just with those numbers that are popping out, there is really strong support among people to knowing that if you invest in parks and forests, that money is being pulled from other priorities. But even knowing that people were, at 67 and 66%, and the 79% is that a question that we're asking, do you feel that state government needs to be doing more to protect our forest, because our forests have all these amazing qualities, such as cleaning our air and cleaning our water, things that we need for survival, and right there, in our trees, in addition to reducing stress and reducing crime and improving memory and boosting creativity and so many other good things. There, Pam's bringing
There's the whole thing. We were cut
whole
off
thing
there on
up.
that page, so yeah.
But if you haven't seen this, this is a really good piece. And if you're inclined to write your legislator, feel free to shoot them this little piece here. So we know that we have a busy, season coming up, educating the new legislators, as well as, there's going to be a transition in the government. So we'll be active on that. So that's just one piece of what we do. I'm going to ask Pam to show you something else, because the other thing that we're really proud of at Pennsylvania Parks and Forests Foundation is that for over a decade, we've really been focusing on ensuring a place and an experience for everyone in the outdoors. And this is just a start of a map showing some of the work that we've done from a universal design standpoint to ensure that everybody has access. So these are ADA fishing piers, ADA canoe and kayak launches, paved trails that have been improved. And universal design isn't just about accommodating people with wheelchairs. It's about accommodating everybody. It's about, allowing a family with a stroller. It's about allowing somebody that may be using a cane. It could somebody with crutches, children. It spans the whole population. So we're big fans of universal design. Our next project is at Little Buffalo State Park. We are putting in an inclusive playground. It is on order now. We are still fundraising for the surface because we have been talking to some folks who utilize wheelchairs, and the engineered wood fiber doesn't exactly accommodate a wheelchair, particularly if you're an adult in a wheelchair and want to play with your child. So we're really looking at a surface that is truly accessible. So that's a project that we're still trying to raise funds for. But your support makes all of those projects happen. Oh yeah, there's So what is this, Pam? Why don't you talk about this, and I'll take a sip of my tea.
Well, we just had our staff retreat a couple of weeks ago at Pine Grove Furnace, and so we took a little trip over to Michaud State Forest, and this is a wildlife viewing and bird line that's been constructed. There will be an accessible trail that takes people up, and you'll notice the different levels of windows. So I'm kind of at wheelchair height there, looking out over is it a wetland that's there? Is it forest?
No, it's actually a forest restoration project that we're involved in to create grouse and woodcock habitat, to remove invasive plants at an area that was such a seed bed for invasive plants, and to plant native plants and trees. So this is going to be a really cool project to watch evolve.
Yeah, it was very exciting to be there. And if you haven't met us, this is Brian, our public engagement coordinator, Bernadette, our bookkeeper, me, and Marci, of course, and Jenna's taking the picture. And I don't know, I didn't notice until I put this in my Fridays with Pam email that the windows are shaped like a bat.
I know, I was going to say, that looks like Batman.
Very cool. That's very cool. I don't know if that was by design. I kind of think it must have been, but
It's very cool. And and also I want to give a shout out to the staff there at the Michaud. That is their handiwork. And we're fortunate in Pennsylvania to have such amazing staff in our state parks and state forests. Skilled craftsmen, dedicated and committed management, educators, rangers. There are so many different position descriptions. And I want to add here too that sometimes, we chuckle because people often ask, so what do park staff do after Labor Day? Your state parks and state forests are open year round. So if you've only been visiting them during the summer, there are opportunities in fall, winter, spring. So, get out, explore, check the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources website, or check our website. Sometimes there are organized events. Maybe you're thinking about you'd like to learn to snowshoe, but don't want to invest in the equipment. Well, keep an eye on those web pages, and maybe there's an intro to snowshoeing, or maybe ice fishing is something you've always wanted to try.
For whatever reason.
This is not for everybody, Pam. Or even, first day hikes will be coming up on January 1. And that's a great way if you wanted to explore a new place. That's a great way to get an introduction to it, taking part in an organized hike. And then, next Friday is Opt Outside, which has been an REI event for probably, 6 or 7 years now. We're encouraging people, instead of shopping, encouraging them to get outside and reap the benefits of being in the outdoors.
Sounds good to me.
So if I can share something, Pam, I brought up, and if I can do this, we'll see. Share screen. It might not let me because I am not in its preferred.
You're just a guest.
Share screen. Easiest with 2 monitors. A window, Microsoft Edge tab. Okay, Google Photos. All right, I just wanted to share this quick. Hopefully you can see this. So this is a project that is just about complete over at Gifford Pinchot State Park. So these are some trees that were planted, and you'll see that we put in a lot of trees. Our parks and forests have lost a lot of trees because of invasive diseases and insects. So we're trying to replant trees because they do good things. But these trees are at the camping beach at the park, and this is a project to make the beach area accessible. So an ADA pathway was put into place. There will be some benches of various types and sizes along the trail to accommodate various bodies, because we all are a little bit different. In this open area there in the center, that will be a wheelchair height sand table for children that are utilizing wheelchairs, so they can have the same play experience in the sand. You'll see one of the benches is put in, another shot, and then we purchased several chairs. These chairs will actually roll on the sand and are buoyant in the water, so you can go directly into the water. There will be one at the beach area and one at the regular beach. One at the camper beach, one at the regular beach. And then at the beach there at the campsite, there will also be what's called a Moby mat, where any wheelchair can utilize it. And this is the first park to utilize a Moby mat. So Moby mat. So we're pretty excited about that. Some of the last pieces of equipment are just now showing up. So we're looking forward to being able to do a big unveil. So you're kind of getting a sneak peek ahead of time because you're such great members and donors of catching up with us. But that's
Moby mats are wonderful. Really easy to use, and that's great. So I've just added the accessible beach to my draft accessible recreation map. I forgot to include that. So
whoopsie.
That'll be a whole other category.
Yeah, because hopefully this will be not just the first, and some of our friends groups have purchased wheelchair, beach wheelchairs, such as at Gillitson. Friends of Prince Gillitson purchased one. And while I'm mentioning Friends of Prince Gillitson, they just shared with me their monthly geocaching figures. And they've got a very active geocache there. So if you are into geocaching, I highly recommend that you swing by Prince Gillitson State Park and give theirs a try.
Isn't that that's the interesting thing about our friends groups? Each of them seem to have, they find these little niches of things that they can do. And they become experts in their field. So,
yes, yes. And we currently have 48 friends groups doing amazing things all across the Commonwealth. They're often looking for both short-term and long-term volunteers. So if you're looking to volunteer, wanting to serve on a board, or just, have a certain expertise that you want to share, check out our website, or give us a shout, or go to the friends group that's either nearest to you or at the park or forest you're most passionate about, and connect yourself, introduce yourself, because there's a lot of opportunities to get involved.
Yeah, if you happen to be a fan or friend of the Friends of World's End, I got notice this morning that they're or RB Winter. RB Winter.
RB Winter, they're
they had a roadside cleanup scheduled for tomorrow, but there's too much ice and snow. So that part's canceled, but they're still having their board meeting. So
yeah. And like our Parks and Forests, friends groups are functioning year round. So some of them are in the process of planning for their winter festivals and various events over the winter. And many of them are involved in first day hikes. So always something to do in the outdoors.
A Snowfest 5K at Greenwood Furnace. They have to go and run in the snow. Give yourself an extra challenge, not just running in the snow.
Well, you're mentioning about extra challenge, which made me think, this is how my brain works. It's not linear. Sometimes I have to explain myself. You mentioned the challenge, that made me think of the Heiner challenge, which made me think of the Heiner beer, which made me think of the fact that the new State Park beer series is out.
Right.
And this is our partnership with New Trail Brewing, which, kudos to them. They won an award within the past year for this beer series, the highest level award in that particular category. So the new beer is, drum roll, Washington Crossing. It's a hazy double India Pale Ale. It will be supporting funds that we're raising to create an ADA walkway that connects the ADA parking area to the visitor center. So a complete experience to make it easy. Again, not just for people in wheelchairs, but for anybody that needs a smoother surface to get from the parking area into the visitor center. So in addition to this beer, Pam, I don't know if you have it readily, they call it a forever beer, is Replenish IPA.
Let's see if I can find
And
that.
Replenish IPA is supporting our efforts to plant trees in our parks and forests. So this beer is offered year round, and on a quarterly basis that they'll be making a donation to the foundation. The first 2 months of the beer, we earned almost $4,000 for our tree fund. So this is going to be a super way to replant trees. And if you haven't seen our video, trees mean clean water. Clean water means good craft beverages. So there is a direct connection between trees and these wonderful beverages that we have all across. I was raised over 8,500. Woohoo!
Yeah, isn't that great? I love this can. This one is really, really pretty.
Yeah, they did an amazing graphic artist. And actually, if you give today during ExtraGive, later in the day, we have 2 New Trail sweatshirts that we're giving away. So you just have to watch our events and see when that is, and maybe you'll be a lucky winner. Other items that we're giving away today is REI. Our friends at REI donated 2 collapsible coolers. And then our friends at Dutchware Gear donated 2 Dutchware hammocks. So we're giving those away. One of those is for people who give through ExtraGive and then share on their social media that they gave to the foundation. One of those, I think, is, I don't have this all memorized. Pam, do you have that?
Probably scare up the graphic somewhere.
Can you scare up the graphic? Because I don't want to mess this up. We
it's
also
on our
have
Facebook page if anybody goes over there.
I think during the coffee hour, we have a mug that we're randomly drawing for people who give during the coffee hour, which we should call it a coffee and tea hour, because we tea drinkers feel a little bit left out. You don't want to see Marci on caffeine. It's just not great.
Here, wait a sec. I think I can get it. It's over on our Facebook page. So let's see what we can find. There we go. So there's the hammocks. and
Okay.
coolers.
So drawing from social media shares, drawing from all donors. So on Monday, everybody that has given, we will randomly draw a hammock, and then REI cooler bag will be drawn for all donors who give over $100. We'll randomly draw, and then between 10 and 11 is the mug. Between 9 and 10 p.m. is a limited edition Only You bandana. From 4 to 5 and 7 to 8 are New Trail Brewing, and they are specific sizes. It's an extra large in the 4 to 5 and a small in the 7 to 8. And from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. over the lunch hour, it's the REI cooler bag, another one of those. These are great. They collapse completely flat. Then you couple little riggings, and you got yourself a nice cooler, great for a picnic lunch in your favorite park or forest.
Cool. And probably easy to strap on your bike.
Probably easy to strap on your bike, yes. And we do have to give the disclaimer that while we do partner with New Trail Brewing, you cannot take beer into state parks. So, but do enjoy your beer reasonably and safely. And it's great beverage.
And plant trees.
And it plants trees. And creating 88 playground. And we actually, for the Heiner View beer, we joined staff from New Trail, and we planted trees, 8 trees, I believe, in September during the Healthy Lands Week. We had a great time up there. It was a perfect day.
And not to ignore our friends on the western end of the state. We also have a partnership with
Stick City Brewing.
Stick City. I can never say it. Stick City Brewing.
Yeah.
And Public Lands, the new big store. So yeah.
Yes. So we do work in the beer space.
Not at work.
Not at work.
Coffee only. Coffee only. And thanks to our friends from Pine Grove Furnace for the beautiful mug.
Well, Pam, you just triggered another memory. I won't explain to y'all how I got there this time, but we did have a staff retreat at Pine Grove at one of our board members' places, and part of our retreat is thinking about the upcoming year. Mm-hmm. And in this current photo contest, we had over 600 photo entries. You can vote until Monday. Those are on our Facebook page.
Yes.
One of the biggest categories was reflections. We got some amazing images. Amazing images in all categories. It was tough. And it's going to be hard for you as a voter to pick. But it had us thinking about our parks and forests, and we chose our theme for next year to be reflections. And reflections interpreted in the very broad sense of the word. It could be reflections from things that you see, but reflections are also memories. We're hoping to gather people's stories about what parks and forests have meant to them. We're looking at reflections of some of the infrastructure in our state parks. We have piping systems that were put in by the Civilian Conservation Corps. What has that piping system seen? Over the now almost, getting close to 90 years. What has that piping system seen and experienced? So we're really going to look at it from, reflections of infrastructure, people, staff, imagery, any other ideas that you have on how we could capitalize on reflections to help tell the story of why we need to invest in these places. I mean, we're really open to your thoughts and comments.
And people definitely captured all kinds of different ideas in the reflections photo category. And I mean, that really was what sparked the idea, was that it was, that's such a kind of a universal word and can be interpreted so many ways, including Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Oh, well, you're gonna sing for us.
Favorite songs.
Well, it was also inspired by Brian saying, I wonder what story the bridge could tell. And it's like, yeah, well, what story could some pieces of infrastructure tell? I took a picture of some steps at Black Shannon when I was camping there 2 weeks ago. And there were steps laid by the CCC, and it had me thinking, so what kind of stories would these steps tell? How many children, then adults, then with their children, and then with maybe their grandchildren have come down those steps from the campground down to the beach?
Yeah.
What have they seen in terms of changes? That hill looked over what used to be a indigenous person's path. So that place in the landscape has so many stories, not just from our time as it is from it being a state park, but over the history of time. And most of our parks are on lands that were, formerly indigenous lands. And those are important stories for us to tell too. Stories of the land. And so I think it'll be fun and interesting. So
I do too.
join us throughout the year and, send us your ideas because we're
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
lots of ideas.
Yeah. Always fun to hear from the world out at large, what things mean to them.
So, we have 4 minutes left. A reminder at 10 o'clock, we will have Secretary Cindy Adams-Dunn talking about the 3 new state parks. At 3 o'clock, we'll have Christian Alexanderson. If you follow our blog, you'll recognize that name. He's a prolific blogger, and he is going to be talking about some of his experiences visiting all of the parks. He ran a mile in every one of the parks in 2021, I believe.
Yep, 121 and 21. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just ran out to the 3 new parks. The 3 new parks are super exciting. It's a great opportunity for us to expand our park system. The secretary will talk about the importance of these places as critical habitat. And for one of the parks, it was the first park in that county. There was a vision of a state park within 25 miles of every resident in Pennsylvania, and that was mostly achieved, but that doesn't mean that there's a park in every county. I think there was 6 counties that didn't have a park. I'd have to go back and check my numbers. Wyoming County being one of those. So this will actually put a park in that county. And, parks are economic engines. So that could be very, very helpful to that rural area. So that's a whole nother conversation about the importance of parks, as economic engines for the Commonwealth.
Coming at 10.
quality of life and all these other wonderful things. We're so lucky. I mean, we're lucky not just to have these places, our parks and our forests. We're lucky because there's no admission fee. There's no parking fee, which we strongly support.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed on the Facebook page I shared with Brian, and he put it up, an email that I got this week from a New Yorker, a resident of a neighboring state who actually is a native Pennsylvanian. And he said he's been traveling 5.5 hours into Pennsylvania a lot over the last year. And he and his family are so grateful that they can just stop in parks on their way to and from home and home. And there's no charge, unlike up in New York. So. Yeah,
and I think that's great. I mean, like when I'm traveling Route 80, SB Elliott is always my stop, stretch my legs, keep me safe. I mean, you think of it from that perspective, just being able to stop and stretch your legs and refresh and be a better driver because you were able to stop and move. I mean, that's a whole nother perspective on why it's so important. And, they belong to all residents of Pennsylvania. And when we were talking about ensuring a place and an experience for everyone in the outdoors, we'll circle back to that. It's not just about people with disabilities. It's about all residents of the Commonwealth. We've been interpreting things into different languages. We've been trying to educate people in terms of what is available. We've been working to provide loaner equipment. We're actually doing research on creating a gear lending library. Just really trying to look at it from what might be preventing people from participating in the outdoors.
Right.
In part because they belong to everybody, but also we know how important they are to human physical, mental, and emotional health. And we all benefit as a society when we have a healthy society. So, how can you argue with keeping people healthy? So
I wouldn't dream of it.
Well, thank goodness, Pam. Yeah, I was a little cranky the other day, and I realized that I hadn't been out for my walk. I was so busy, and I just hadn't focused on getting out. And I said to my husband, I'm like, we got to go walking, even if we don't get to a park, we can walk in our neighborhood and get out and get moving and be outside. And
Yeah.
I really love to walk very early in the morning as the sun's coming up, and being part of that awakening of the day.
Or in the case of this morning, as the sun's coming up and the snow's coming down, we got flurries.
None here, but that was me yesterday. It was great while it was blowing into my back, but when I
Yeah, I think it was also the wind chill here this morning was 17 degrees and beautiful confluence. So yeah, not quite ready for that yet, but
I haven't been out
we'll
yet.
get there. So yeah, 10 o'clock we'll be back with Secretary Dunn, and I'm going to work frantically between now and then to get the Facebook feed back up again. And so hopefully we'll see people on Facebook. If not, LinkedIn and YouTube seem to be working fine. So
we're so thankful for you joining us today. And if at any point ever you have any questions, you can connect to us through our website, paparksandforests.org. We really appreciate your support, your financial support, your volunteerism support, your advocacy support, and just getting out into our parks and forests. And, always remember, if you see a park or forest staff, thank them for their hard work. They are such hardworking, dedicated people. I can never say enough good things about them. I applaud them and all of their efforts to ensure that the places that you love are there for you when you need them and that they're safe. So
absolutely.
Enjoy your day. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving next week. And remember to opt outside on Friday.
We'll talk to you soon.
Ciao.